What's going on, guys? So today what we're going to do is that we're going to be making a regional map for my world of Solidar. It's my fantasy world, and we're going to go straight into it. So what I'm going to be basically teaching y'all how to do today is to start a map from absolute scratch. So it was pretty intimidating at first when I first got Inkarnate. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to do it. I kind of watched a bunch of tutorial videos on how to make my maps look good, how to make my maps look better. I didn't really know what to do. So what I'm going to be teaching y'all today is basically how to start, how to basically get your foot on the ground in Inkarnate and what I use and how I do things. Hopefully, by looking at how I do things, you can learn and just maybe pick up a few things here and there. So today, I already chose the Parchment world, and this setting that I have in Solidar, which is my fantasy world, is set in basically like a D&D campaign, but in Minecraft. So what I'm basically doing is that I'm outlining a Minecraft map, and it's very like political world, those kings, queens, and all that type of stuff. I'm currently writing a book about it right now, and I figured that, wait, if I'm making a map and I can show you guys a few tips and tricks on Inkarnate, and you guys can learn about my world, I mean, it's like it's like knocking down two birds with one stone, you know what I'm saying? So this is what we're doing right now. I'm outlining the entire map of this region that I call the Stervin region. It's called the Stervin Realm in the world, and we're basically just filling in and outlining what's going on in a Minecraft map. So first thing that I wanted to show you guys is that I'm using the shovel tool. It is in the brush size 2, and I'm using that to outline the entire map as a whole. Now there's also the bucket tool a few ways down from it. It is absolutely amazing. All you have to do is click something, basically like a chunk of the outline that you've done, and then it fills in. Like, have you ever seen the MS Paint tool? That's just how it is. It's going to be your best friend when you're outlining something. So check this out. So basically what we're going to do is that we're going to outline this whole entire thing. Now let's slow down here. I'm going to make sure, try and get the whole dang map you see right here. I'm trying to get the whole dang map. I'm being really, really slow so I don't really mess up any of my outlines. Boom. Okay, I connected it. Now if I try to bucket tool, let's see the bucket tool to try to get this whole thing. Oh, yep. It didn't do it. You know why? Because there's that little section right there that I didn't fill in. Alright, let's make a nice line, and then let's try to bucket tool again. Boom. Boom. It looks good. It looks good. Alright, so that is how you use the bucket tool. It is your best friend when outlining, and I suggest when you start out, outline something really nice. I love doing countries. If you look at my page, you can see a bunch of countries that I have made already. I've made stuff like Spain, England, I've made a lot of the US states. It's just fun practice. It's really easy. It's really nice. It's just super cool to do. So let's get into the world right here, this world of Solidar. Now, there's a few continents, and this continent that I'm displaying right here, this realm, I'm sorry, that I'm displaying right here, it's in Ercania, and the Stervin Realm is sort of in the middle of the world sort of thing. It's like right in the center. It's on the equator. It's a pretty hot, sort of humid place, and in this map you can see that in the Minecraft map there's a desert. So with this desert, I have to basically put into account, hold on, if there's a desert, there should be mountains which block the wind to make that desert possible. You have to know a little bit about geography when you're making maps, and that's a bit hard when you're starting out, because I kind of made a few errors where I put the snowy region next to the desert, and I know it sounds funny, but once you rationalize it in your head when you start going and doing all that. So what you want to do is that you want to just think about, hold on, this is a hot place, this is a tropical place, this is an arid place, this is a whatever place. Where are the large aquifers? Where are the large rivers? Where are the large bodies of water? How is this river being supplied? That's a big one. If there's a river, how is it even being supplied? And I don't know if you can see, but in the top right, I did add a mountain range, and that mountain range is basically how one of those rivers and how one of those lakes are being supplied. Now, I'm going to start going into the middle of the map. You see right there, I'm doing the sort of human elements, the human cities, and all that type of stuff. There we go, adding a lot of the parchments and a lot of the little icons there. I personally like diversifying the little palette set that I have, just because these are elven cities and elven tokens doesn't mean that they should just be elves. It honestly just looks deserty to me, or like a regional or cultural theme. So I'm just gonna throw it in there and say, yep, that one, all that type of stuff, all that culture, all that region, it's gonna look like elves. That's just how it is, and that's just how it's gonna be. You gotta play with your world like that. You gotta just be like, you know what, this is what's gonna be. This is how it's gonna do it. If you don't like it, y'all can leave. You got to be really, really, really straightforward on how you present yourself and how you present your world. Because honestly, your biggest critique, your biggest critiquer, is going to be yourself. It shouldn't be other people. Other people's like, yeah, okay, they can give you some examples and stuff like that, but you should honestly be satisfied with yourself because it's a creative project at the end of the day. It's a creative project and be like, you know what, I like this, I want to do this, this is my way, and that's how it's going to happen. So, a lot of people will make maps from their head, make maps from this. I like making maps from, well, my Minecraft stuff, and that's what makes me happy, so that's what I'm going to do. And so, let's continue on to what's going on the map right now. So what we're doing is that we're filling in basically the parchment, and now we're going to try to do the colors. So I can't necessarily get the colors down, and that's because I clicked the brush tool, and there's two brush layers. There is the land layer and there is the water layer. I clicked the water layer. Now look, when I click the brush layer, oh wow, it pops off. That's because I set the color to really bright, and I set the opacity of the Minecraft map really low. By adding that and by doing that, I was able to sort of know where I'm making my brush strokes, where I'm coloring in, and it's super easy for me to just know what's going on. So now let's go back to where that mountains and all that sort of jungle thing. You see that little like pocket of jungle that I'm sort of rationalizing in my head? I want that sort of thing to exist, and I also want a town underneath it to be sort of like in the plains or sort of like in a nice lushy area. So I'm gonna put a mountain right there to divide that. And by putting that mountain range, I'm able to sort of justify, yes, this place right here is going to be a bit more lush, a bit more better, suitable for a human climate. By adding that river there, I'm able to sort of say, all right, there's water coming through, coming out of those mountains. It's coming through and into those human settlements, into those nice, cool settlements. Obviously, it's not going to be that cool. It's going to be a hot jungle, but you know what I'm saying. Then now we're going to go into the sort of river system and looking at the whole map just as one entity. So you can see me going to zoom out right now, and I'm kind of looking at it. So it's like, yeah, I'm giving a lot of love to that top section. Let's go to the bottom. Let's start filling out what forests, what I can do. That also prompts me to get a few more brush tools and be like, hold on, these mountains that made the desert, they need to be a bit bigger. They need to be a bit stronger. I mean, this is a huge desert we're talking about. Let's make those cliffs. Let's make those mountains. Let's make these mountains very high because we need to justify our terrain with the geography around us. And by using that terrain, using that geography, using how things are set, we can then get those worlds looking a little bit more polished. And to also get a bit more polished, I don't know if you saw, but I used the brush tool to sort of outline the coastline. You can see me like sort of giving little hints and a little bit more brownish coastline. Basically the brown is supposed to implement like a little bit more lush area. The lighter yellow is supposed to implement like a bit more drier. So putting out that brown, putting out that nice beige brown kind of says, okay, here you go. This section right here is going to be a bit more lush. This section right here is going to be more dry. And it's a nice way to divide the land and to show the person that's looking at the map, oh, okay, that's dry, that's lush, that's easy. And now there's a specific part right there that's a savanna, and in the top is a jungle. And now I am going to use the greener brown to sort of emphasize, okay, this is much more lush, this is much more dense and all that. There's a lot more things that are going on. With things come civilization, rivers, plants, and stuff like that. You want to denote these colors, have a broader color scheme in the entire map to be like separating the different regions and separating different places where your eyes can see. On top of that, you want to add a lot more detail into your maps that I've seen, because I like my maps to have just a lot of stuff, a lot of things that kind of catch your eye. Right here I'm using a grass texture. It's very small. It looks like little hairs on the map, but it's grass. And by adding grass, it's sort of giving it that little pop. It's giving it that like, oh, if I zoom in, I can see little things on the map, and it's like quite detailed in there. you want to add that. Even in the jungle right there, I'm adding tall grass, short grass, just so when you look at the map, it's like, oh wow, there's a little bit more detail, a little bit more depth, and it's amazing for a D&D campaign. Currently, right now, I'm running a D&D campaign, and I'm using a map sort of like this one. Obviously, this one is made just within an hour, so I mean, you're watching just an hour's work, and another D&D campaign that I did was probably like a few hours work just on one map. Um, if you ever want a map to be made, whatever style that you want, you can always let me know in the DMs. I'll obviously make one and help you out. Or if you need any tips or any tips and tricks on Inkarnate, just let me know. I'd be happy to answer any questions y'all have. And yeah, so the last bit and touches of the map, I'm just gonna add the names and stuff like that. It's basically just looking at the map as a whole, seeing, alright, I need to add a name here, I need to add a name there. Luckily for me, I already have most of my names thought up of beforehand when I was running the D&D campaign with my friends on Minecraft, so I'm just going to be looking at the map, transposing, okay, this name goes here, this name goes there, and a quick detail right here on the map, you can see right now that I'm adding a sort of different icon for this savannah portion, Zieza and Ristus right there. That's because I wanted to just put a bit more emphasis on a different culture and a different people group. It's not because I'm using an orc icon, I'm just using a different human icon in my mind, a different way they build, a different way they use their materials. And yeah, that's just how I'm able to justify it in my head. Obviously, if you talk about it with your people who are running your campaign or the fantasy series that you're trying to do, that's how you do it. And that's my sort of 2 cents on the whole adding icons and all that type of stuff. So now I'm just going to add the small little sections of towns, and a lot of this other names I'm sort of just freeballing, and a lot of this other icons I'm sort of also just throwing out there because, hey, I don't know, I feel like this realm should be more populated. I feel like these forts are sort of very geographically significant, and by having a geographically significant fort, there would be more settlements, more towns, more ports. It would open up trade, it would open up a reason for that section of the city to continue on thriving. So hey, you know what, let's just throw in a bunch of forts, throw in a bunch of towns, a bunch of cities near the fort, throw in a holy site, and throw in a few other small cool areas, and let's just call it a day, because hey, that's kind of how modern civilization works. You just get a fort, build a town or build a city around it. Or not really modern civilization, more like medieval civilization, but that's just how it functioned back in the day, and that's just how this map is going to function. It functions around fort systems, around trade routes, around stuff like that. So now we're getting into the final section of the map as it is. I'm adding the last bit of names. I'm sort of making names up on the fly. You know, I love making names up on the fly. You kind of just get into a mood here in the Stervin Realm. It's sort of like a Stevist, Sevist, Evist, Ania, Avia, Aria, Ishia sort of mood and sort of vibe. You know, you want to get like a vibe in the realm that you're getting. And for me, I just love having the Evist, Ia, Risha as a vibe. As you can see, like Revan, Stevia, Inataria. There's one that's different. It says Yenor. Ooh, okay. Different culturally. Different how, sort of say? The campaign people have to find out. Your players have to find out. Alright, there we go. You're already making something different. Stevia, Stavia, Vistia, Norport. Norport's different. It's kind of just like, oh, Northport, but it's Norport. Alright, we speak a different language. Ziazia Zolvi, that's on a completely different map. Completely different world right there, linguistically. Why is that? Oh, they speak a different language. Alright, that makes more sense. Okay, so you want to get those into consideration. And with that all being said, the last part here on the map is the trade routes. And the trade routes I love specifically because it shows how interconnected the world is. I use the blacker trade routes for the sea, and I use the wider trade routes for the land. That's just so it can pop off a little bit more. You see right there, like, roads and then ship trade routes. From there, if you say go on Roll20 or your other D&D campaign infrastructure, you can then use your pointer and see how long it's going to take, 1 hour, 2 hour, etc., etc. And along the road, you can then add little icons like that little wolf icon, that little beast icon, a little dungeon here and there, add a little bit more flavor, so that way when they go from fort to fort, via to via, city to city, place to place, there's something for everyone, and there's something that they can all do. So that's kind of like wrapping it all up. We have the trade routes, the geography, the build tool, the path tool, the different brushes, and the fill tool. Pretty basic, and I was able to make this map in less than an hour, or maybe an hour, like right on the dot. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm planning to make more and showing you a little bit more tips and tricks. This was a bit of a short video because of what I'm trying to introduce and what I'm trying to show you guys. The world is a lot bigger and a lot more diverse and huge than what it is. It's just a actually small little kingdom and a small little region of that kingdom. So I'd love to expand more and to show you guys more. Let me know if you guys like watching this whole thing, watching this introduction. Always remember to save your maps, guys. Always remember to save your maps. So many of mine got deleted, and you're gonna see literally me saving as a conclusion right here. Goodbye.